So really excited, obviously, to meet with you guys all today. This is our second webinar in an ongoing educational series focused on growing your golf instruction business. Obviously, my name is Anthony Medaglia of V1 Sports. A couple housekeeping items before we kind of dig in here. Just locate the chat function. We're going to be utilizing that often today. We're going to ask you to post some questions for Dan to answer towards the end of the webinar here. To get you kind of warmed up, something a little fun. Obviously, Scotty Scheffler's Masters Week. Well, so congratulations. Scotty's making some news with his menu choices. One of those being he has ravioli on the menu this year. So if you can, if you had your own Masters menu item that some of the things that you wanted to have there for dinner, what would you put in there? And then obviously we'll continue the conversation here and pull some of you guys out and do something fun with it too. So I have the pleasure of introducing Dan. Obviously, if you don't know Dan, Dan's a business consultant and a friend of V1 who's focused on helping golf instructors transition into online coaching. Dan has a really great webinar focusing on landing pages. Now, obviously, some of you guys have landing pages. You've developed some, or you even have some through V1 that we've built you. So a really informational session today. But before I hand it over, again, please ask those questions. And we're going to audit some of these landing pages towards the end as well, too. So you guys get some real objective feedback as to what's working, what's not. Okay. Without further ado, welcome, Dan.
Awesome. Thanks for having me back. I'm excited today to jump into landing pages. It's one of the biggest, probably lowest hanging fruit that a coach can develop when moving online, because what I'll talk about here in a second in the presentation is it really becomes like a member of your sales team, a 24/7 digital sales member that allows for you to collect opportunities and leads. And there's a lot of things that we want to cover as to why to use them and the importance of them. And I won't delay any longer. We'll jump in, get through a quick presentation, give you guys some information about landing pages. And then from there, we're really going to look to do an audit of a few different pages and give you guys some feedback and have as much time as we can for Q&A as possible. So when we're discussing landing pages, the importance of them and why you'd want to think about using them. One is a well-designed landing page can be a 24/7 digital appointment setter, converting visitors to a site or a page into qualified leads, while you get to focus on what you're best at, which is ultimately be a coach and helping people improve at this game that we all love. And I'm going to guide you through the process of setting one of these up, why you'd consider having a landing page, and then how to do that properly and effectively so that it converts traffic, the people that are coming to that page, into becoming interested prospects of working with you as their coach. So let's start off with why you would even consider using a landing page instead of just a website. So most coaches that I speak with ask the question when getting started online, well, do I need to invest in a website? Do I need to build a website? Or they have already built one and they sort of think that that is going to suffice as in place of a landing page or do the job of a landing page effectively. But the reality is a landing page, which is just, if you think about it, it's just a singular standalone digital page, website page that has one sole focus and purpose, which is to get people to put in their contact information on that page or that site. This is all about converting the lead or visitors into leads, unlike with a website, which is more so a digital brochure. So someone that already knows of you, they might come to the website to gather some more information, or if they were just looking to take the next step already, so they were sort of pre-sold on you already, sure, we can have a website for them to choose from an option or a menu of options. But when we're talking about cold prospects on the internet, it's much more effective to have a landing page because the conversion rates on a landing page are 3 to 10x higher than a website because they're focused on one singular action that we want a prospect to take. When you come to a landing page, if you've ever experienced this before, there's only one thing that you can do on that page. You can't click around to other options. It is either put in your information and go to the next step, or you leave the landing page altogether. And we want it that way because now we can track data on the landing page, understand the conversion rates, and then start to optimize. When there's 15 different things that people can click on, you're going to lower conversion rates and you're not going to have proper data to understand what's actually happening on that page. When you do this correctly, a landing page can become a digital appointment setter. And basically, if you're not familiar with appointment setters online, that just means that someone that can collect contact information and potentially book calls with interested prospects 24/7. So if you have a proper landing page, you're going to get contact information even when you're not focused on it, while you're off doing other stuff, which is what we want. We want to collect leads consistently for your business. And when we talk about online business, really any business in general, the first thing that has to happen before you can get a client or a customer is they have to become a lead. They have to show interest in your product or service. With a landing page, the other things that I mentioned before is there's measurable results. So we can easily track conversion rates, and then we can optimize the page for that singular outcome that we want people to take. And this is also a very cost-effective solution. You don't usually have to pay thousands, hundreds of dollars, if not thousands of dollars, to set up a landing page, right? You can do one for very cheap, $100 or whatever, to get a landing page software to be able to build one. Now, if you want someone to professionally design one for you, that might be more expensive. But I'm going to talk a lot about why to consider different services at different stages based on what you're looking to ultimately accomplish with your landing page and with your business. When you're setting up a landing page, the simple ways to potentially do this is there are many different platforms that you could use. I use Go High Level. It can be a bit cumbersome at first, though. There's a lot of things inside of that. So ultimately, I would go the simplest solution possible for you guys. So I know that there is the potential to build landing pages inside of V1, and that is a much more simple and elegant solution to this problem. Instead of, if you use one of these other ones that I have here, you can certainly go that route. If you have a website service that your website is already built on, you could build a singular page inside of that and use it as a lead generator for your business and a landing page. But usually the simplest, fastest speed to getting something up is really important, because it does not have to be complicated. It does not have to be perfect when you start, and it doesn't have to be the highest tech possible. These are really basic pages. And honestly, sometimes the simpler and more basic it is, the higher it converts. So when we're talking about basic structure of a simple landing page, the first thing we want to consider is what's called above the fold. And 80 to 90% of your traffic is going to be viewing this page on mobile. That's the way it works nowadays. Like, everybody's on their phone viewing these different things. So above the fold just means what you see on the page when you first land on it. So on your phone, that would be what you see before you start scrolling. Same thing on a desktop, it'd be what you see before you start scrolling. That is the most important section of your landing page. 80% of time, energy, effort should be put into what's in that first section above the fold, the headline and subheadline, and the creative or the picture. That's where you should spend the most amount of your time to make an effective landing page that converts. Then from there, other elements we'll consider is to have a lead story section, social proof, benefits and reasons why they should opt in for the thing that you're offering them, talking about how it works, potential offer details, FAQ section, and then a final call to action. But if nothing else, if you just had a really good above the fold in a place for them to opt in, that would work very well and potentially have a very high conversion rate, which is what we want. When we're talking about, again, landing page above the fold, this is kind of what you can see in the image on the left. That would be the above the fold. The biggest things, again, 80-20, 80% of your time should be focused on crafting the headline and subheadline, because those are the things that are going to get someone to stay on the page. And a lot of times the majority of what gets them to opt in or take the action that we want them to take. And so ways that you can craft these headlines, there's a few different formulas I have here for you to test out. It's discover how framework, problem solution framework, and specific benefit framework. And some examples of all of those. Discover how you can lower your golf score by 7 strokes in just 30 days. Problem solution would be struggling with your swing, get a personalized golf improvement plan. Specific benefit, unlock your perfect golf swing and reduce your handicap by 5 strokes in 90 days. So the more specific you can be, and the more you can put numbers in your headline, the better off these usually convert. The key elements include a proprietary system or method name. So call what you do something that helps with conversion and curiosity as well. Something maybe they haven't tried before. You want to have a clear time frame, like in 21 days. You want to mention a specific measurable result, as I was just saying, reduce your handicap by 5 strokes. That is very specific. And you want to target your ideal client. So if you focus on a specific type of golfer, like this example for recreational golfers over 50, you want to include that in this as well. The more specific we can be, the higher conversion rate this page will have. And not only that, the better quality the leads and the prospects coming through it will be. When writing out the rest of the landing page, this is what can be a little bit more challenging if you're not a copywriter, like someone that writes words to make sales on the internet for a living. We want to consider some of these things to make it a bit easier and just simple frameworks that you guys can go through in writing out your landing page copy. Anyone that wants this presentation after this too, just let everyone know. I can give this to them and you guys can take this and use it. But the lead section, so this little eyebrow, what this means, if you've ever seen it on a landing page, like right above the headline, there'll be the small words in the top section that will qualify the person that you want to ultimately be speaking to with the page. So that's called the eyebrow, right? Because it's right above where their eyes will be looking when they first come on the page, which is the headline. You can use this to just clarify exactly who should be on this page and even continue on. So something like for serious golfers looking to improve their game, right? Very small words above the headline. Then in the lead section, which is below the headline, you want to be able to tell a relatable story about your journey or a client's transformation that relates to the thing that you're giving them. And then similarly, we used this framework earlier, but it's a common copywriting framework: problem, agitate, solution. So you want to identify the frustrations that golfers face specific to your niche or market, explain the consequences of these problems, right? Make them feel that emotionally a bit more, and then position your coaching as a solution to these problems that they're experiencing. In the next section, which would be a benefits section, you want to list 5 to 10 bullet point specific benefits of working with you. These are outcome based, not like the vehicle or the way that you get there based. You want to speak to the outcome. We want to focus, like I said, outcomes, not features, bullet points for easy scanning, and include both rational and emotional benefits. So we want to appeal to the logic and the emotion in these. From there, when we're considering what we should ask for, it all depends on what the end goal of the landing page is, but I'm going to give you some ideas on things that you could consider. The more you ask for on the landing page, the lower the conversion rate will be, but the higher quality the prospect will be. So think about these as levers that we can pull. If we have basically no qualifications and the only thing that we ask for is name, email, and phone number, higher conversion rate. But then we're probably attracting prospects who need to be in our world and consume more stuff from us for longer before they're ready to buy. The more questions we ask, the more qualified the lead potentially is, but the lower the conversion rate because there's more friction in the process. That lead will probably be closer to signing up for coaching, but we want to look at numbers across the board and understand that neither one of those are a bad or a good thing. It's just a spectrum that we want to match to what you're ultimately looking for from your landing page. So if you want to maximize lead flow, the number of prospects that come through this landing page and give you contact information, all you would ask for is name, email, phone number. If you want to add some qualifications so that the people that you're talking to are more likely to be ready for coaching sometime soon or a better fit for your program, then we can add some of these other questions in the qualifications of current handicap, biggest challenges, goals, experience level. And other things that you want to consider, make the questions as simple as possible. So you don't want a questionnaire that has a bunch of open-ended paragraph blocks where people have to write a lot. You want to simplify it as much as possible with multiple choice questions, or having a form builder or a flow to this where it goes one question at a time that will up the number of people who actually fill out and answer those questions. And like I said, each additional field that you add to this, each additional question will lower the conversion rate. So if you're just getting started, I would recommend having very few and potentially just name, phone, and email for them to express interest. So then you can reach out and contact them. And that's the big thing, is just collect the contact information. So now you control the conversation and the experience. With calls to action, these are really important. You don't want to take this lightly and just throw something in there for the button to submit. You want to use action verbs in the call to action, something like book your free swing analysis now. You want to be specific about the offer. So whatever you are giving them, you want the call to action button to be that thing. Yes, I want my custom golf improvement plan. You can add urgency to this, but make it real urgency. If you only have 10 spots, then put that. And then include a friction remover, something like free consultation, no obligation, just to take away any concern that this person might have when they're about to enter their information. Social proof is really important for any landing page, sales page, conversion asset in your business. The more that you can have social proof, the better most pages will convert. So considerations for social proof is have before and after videos. You can have client messages that you screenshotted and are sharing on the page. You can have very detailed testimonials with specific results that someone got by working with you. You can talk about partnerships of brands or other businesses that you've worked with that would be able to position you as more of an authority and expert in the space. And then you can obviously put your credentials. So any awards or certifications that you might have. In order of importance, the things that will matter the most are just the client transformations, testimonials, and messages. Those will pull more weight than really any partnership or credential will, because people just want to see, have you delivered the result that they want for other people who are similar to them? When we're looking at the elements on a landing page, the offer is really important. So the thing that you are giving away in exchange for the contact information really matters. So choose one compelling offer that provides immediate and actionable value while showcasing your expertise. And this is most of the great offers in any business, especially with a service-based coaching business, give the prospect a taste of what it will be like to work with you. So this is why you see very often a free lesson or swing analysis as that initial experience with a coach, because it's very much demonstrates what it's like to work with you. So that's a great offer to have on a landing page. When we're looking at success, the big things that we want to consider with a landing page, it's going to allow you to effectively track data and to look at how it's performing and then use those metrics to determine how it's ultimately driving clients in your business. And so we want to look at things like conversion rate. Typically, a free opt-in landing page should have a 20% or higher opt-in rate. I've seen many with higher than that if it's the right offer, positioned to the right people. And that's the cold traffic. So if you're going to warmer traffic just off of social media, an audience there, it could potentially be much higher than that, 40 or 50% conversion rate. We want to understand cost per lead if we are paying for traffic to the page. Obviously, if they're coming from organic social media, you're not spending, you're just spending your time to get these leads. We want to then start to qualify the lead quality. So once a lead comes in, you want to understand over time, is this landing page and lead magnet, this thing that I'm giving away, is it bringing me the right people? Do these people eventually become clients and customers of mine? If the lead quality is really low, it doesn't matter how low the cost per lead is, because ultimately they're not becoming customers or clients, which is what we want. With landing pages, you can very easily do A/B tests. So you can test different headlines to see how that affects conversion rate, test different subheadlines, test different buttons, different pictures, testimonials. So that's the nice thing about landing pages as well. And then ultimately, we want to understand the booking rate. So how many of these leads are qualified prospects who eventually book some sort of consult with us and then have a discovery call to potentially become a client, which is really important. Ultimately, at the end of the day, that's the metric that matters most, is like, are the people that are showing interest eventually becoming clients? Where to share your landing page? Once you design one that works well, it has a decent conversion rate, and it's ultimately qualifying the right prospects who become clients of yours, you want to put this everywhere. You want to put it in social media bios. You want to put it in video descriptions in a place like YouTube. You want to send this landing page to leads who reach out to you in direct message to collect their contact information and ultimately try to get them to schedule. You want this potentially in your email signature when you're marketing through email. And you can even put this as a QR code on different business cards. And you could have this obviously live on your website as a standalone page as one of the options. So we do want this to stand alone on its own, but it can be a component of your website as well. Next steps from here with a landing page. First thing, you want to define your ideal client and their biggest challenges. Get very, very clear on this. The more clear and specific, precise you can be, and the more exact the problems are that you look to solve, the better your opt-in and conversion rate and ultimately becoming client rate will be. You're going to create your irresistible offer to give something of value, immediate value away to collect contact information. You want to then write your headline and the copy of the page to sell people on opting in for that thing. Even though it's free, we are asking people to give something that they perceive as value, which is their time and their email address and contact information. We want to gather our social proof elements for the landing page, and then we get into building or having someone else build it for us, which can be very effective as well too. Then we want to drive traffic to our landing page, first organically through social media. And then eventually, if this works really well through organic traffic, you could run paid traffic to it as well. And then we're going to look at the data, test, optimize, and change as we go to perfect this system of getting leads every day and then clients every week from our landing page. At the end of the day, a well-done landing page, again, becomes your digital appointment setter. So you can have leads coming into your business 24/7. You can have 3 to 10x better conversion rates than your website is probably getting right now. And this landing page is going to be 100% focused on one very specific goal, which allows for you to have real data that you can track over time and optimize. And then the ideal state, right, as we now are creating content and potentially running ads to this landing page, is that every single day we're having prospects enter in contact information and we're starting conversations with potential clients. And that's what a landing page helps you to do when it's done effectively and properly. Cool. That's all I got for presentation.
Thanks, Dan.
You got
Super
it.
insightful. Yeah, appreciate it. So for this next part of the webinar, we're going to go ahead and audit some of these landing pages that were submitted. I think, Dan, you do have access to those.
Yeah.
If you can name the person who submitted it so they can see, and then obviously walk through that. That'd be great.
Perfect. So this was submitted by Jim. And before I dive into feedback, I'm going to try not to be too brutal with my assessment on anybody's, because a lot of the information I just presented, I'm assuming that you just haven't seen before. It hasn't been taught to you before. So yeah, this is all positive feedback for you. And the end, this stuff is just going to help you to do a better job of getting more leads in your business and ultimately converting those leads to becoming customers and clients, which is the end goal for all of us. So yeah, take everything that I say. I'm usually not like a mean person in the way that I give feedback anyway, but I'm going to give you some honest feedback on these different landing pages and just to ultimately help your business grow. So Jim submitted this landing page here. So there's definitely some elements that are positive. The first thing that I would say in making this landing page more effective is one that you see it is part of a golf club site. So it's not bad that Jim is listed on this site and obviously has his information associated, but the consideration is this is the above the fold section. So the very first things that I see above the fold is I have like 20 other things that I can click on. So if I'm driving traffic to this page, the conversion rate is going to be very low because people will get distracted and they'll click on a bunch of other stuff. They may book a tea time, click contact over here. There's just so much they can click on that won't optimize for them filling out information for Jim about showing interest in what he does. So what I would recommend is a lot of this stuff in here is great. I would just put it in its own landing page. So standalone landing page where the only thing that's on that page is the stuff that happens down here. And just doing that, you'll get a higher conversion of traffic being sent to this page to convert into opting in and giving you their information. Then from here, right, we're just basically talking about the opportunity to get a lesson. And this, I'm not sure if it's combination of like in person and online, but the thing that I would do is I would write a compelling headline that isn't just best golf lessons, but it's speaking to the outcome that they could get by working with you, Jim, in the format of getting lessons from you. So it's something like, I want to find out how to drop 5 to 10 strokes in the next 90 days. Fill out your content information below. The other considerations, the first thing that you go into is information about yourself. And I understand why it's this way. It's because it's a page that's on a website, or if people are looking for more information about the pro that works at this golf club, they would want to know that. If we're talking about landing pages, though, the first question we have to answer that of everyone that comes to the landing page is what's in it for me. And so typically I would include the information about you lower down in a landing page. And instead I would speak to the problem, I would agitate it, and then I would provide the solution in the form of entering their contact information to learn more about what I do. So I'd speak to that first. So just rearrange the order of these things. I would also, the testimonials are great. These are amazing. 1,000% have these on here. I would also change the call to action, right? Interested in instruction, not a super powerful call to action. The simple tweak of saying interested in dropping 5 to 10 strokes in the next 90 days, enter your information below. That would be more effective. And then I also am a fan of pulling this contact form. I know it's a contact form built into a website, so that's why it's kind of structured this way. But if you pulled that call to action up closer to the top, to the above the fold section, or even if you just had a button that said like, drop 5 to 10 strokes in the next 90 days, or like find out more, they could click that button, scroll to the contact section, and put in their information. So those are some small tweaks that I would make there. Part of it's just the fact that it is on another website, and I'd want a standalone landing page to convert a bit better. Cool, let's go. Next one up. All right. So this is from Andre, Power Lesson. Let's pull that up. So similar things. A lot of the submissions were really websites, not necessarily landing pages. Again, it goes back to what I said at the beginning of the presentation about the difference between the two and why you would want to consider one over the other, or you can definitely have both. There's nothing wrong with having a website. I wouldn't get rid of your website. I would just have a standalone landing page, which sole goal is to get more leads for your business. Like it's optimized for that. And we want to drive more of our traffic to the landing page, not necessarily to our website, because it's not optimized for conversion. So the first thing above the fold is lots of options. So people click off to all these different places, again, because it's a website, not a landing page. I wouldn't want that where I was driving traffic, because it would lower conversion rates of leads. The other things, like we could work on some of the sales copy. The biggest thing is I would want that headline and subheadline, that benefit for the person to stand out right here, and immediately tell them what is in it for them on this page and why they should even continue scrolling from here. Again, this is a website, so like you don't have to change this. Let's just add a landing page separately that doesn't have this option bar at the top to click on all these other things, that is designed for one sole purpose of collecting information and contact information from a prospect or a lead. So I wouldn't necessarily change this because this is the website. I would just build a landing page that sits inside of the website, but like standalone. And what I mean by that is I wouldn't want it to have all these buttons up here at the top. I want, even if it was like powerlesson.ca/opt-in, or free lesson, whatever it is, the thing that you're giving away, that URL would go to a unique standalone landing page where it has the things that I talked about in the presentation. And you don't have to change this website at all. So I'm not going to give too much advice on this. I would just set up your landing page separately, because I wouldn't have you completely redo your website, because it's not designed to convert traffic anyway. We would just want to set up a separate landing page. Next one. And a lot of these is going to be very similar feedback, because it's the same thing that's kind of happening. This is from Linda. And same thing. We're really looking at a website here and not a landing page. Keep your website. You don't need to change anything about this. I would just set up a separate landing page designed to convert people into leads and prospects. And I would use that in your link in bio, in wherever you're driving traffic from, which is usually organic content, as a better conversion mechanism and a better sales process to get more people who are interested in putting in their contact information. The thing about a landing page as well, because people are always, I get this question from coaches all the time about, well, I do in person and I do online, and I get bookings from social media for both. Like, how do I balance that? If you have a standalone landing page that speaks to the outcome that you can deliver as their coach, what you can do once someone submits their contact information or in the questionnaire that they fill out on the landing page, you can just ask them, are they looking for in person or online? And that's when I would ask that question. Instead of having multiple links in your bio that send people to different places, or sending people to a website that has too many options, I would instead optimize for collecting the lead, the higher conversion rate on a landing page beforehand. Then once they become a lead, we can now reach out and ask any question that we want and give them a specific offer depending on what they say that they're interested in. And if they're looking to schedule in person, now we have their information. We can call them or email them to give them a link to schedule with us in person, or you can give them a call and schedule them in manually. So I wouldn't change too much on the website. Again, I just design a landing page separately. From here, it's going to be similar for Keith. This is a website. Again, don't need to change this. We just need a landing page separately. That sole goal is to convert leads into contacts, right? To get their contact information, prospects into leads, which are ultimately people that give us the freedom to contact them through phone number and email that then we can follow up with from there. So keep this the same. Let's just design a landing page that is a standalone separately. Next one here. Very similar, right? With this page as well from Mark and Shanti Golf. This is more so a website with lots of options. Same thing. I wouldn't necessarily, don't change this. You don't have to. Don't get rid of this. Let's just create a landing page separately. Next up. All right, we got Steve with his as well. And same thing. This is, as far as a website goes, not bad, because there's an immediate form that you can fill out and very quick to be able to fill out a form and request more information. But it will ultimately have a much lower conversion rate than a standalone landing page would. I know I sound like I'm just like saying the same things again here, but it's the fact that we have all of these buttons at the top and ability for people to click on a lot of different things will significantly lower the conversion rate of traffic coming to this page. So if I was going to spend all this time, energy, and effort into creating content, or spend money on driving traffic people to view a page, I would want that to convert at as high as possible, because otherwise I'm wasting a lot of energy and potentially time and potentially money on driving traffic to this thing that doesn't convert very well. So keep this by all means as your website. No issues with it at all there. I would say you still need a landing page that is going to convert prospects into leads at a much higher rate, and choreograph the experience of them becoming a client after that fact. So that's what I would do. Keep this, but just build a separate landing page that would do a better job of converting the traffic that is coming to it. And then last one we'll share here. This is for Lou. And as you guys can see here, so with this one, the main thing you'll notice is this above the fold section has the opt-in right immediately on it. So that's a big positive to be able to immediately see a headline. Now, there's work we could do on the headline, work we could do on the subheadline, but there's an immediate option to opt in here, which is good. That will improve conversion rates. And from there, then you get into about section, some testimonials, and then we talk a bit about pricing. The potential considerations for pricing, just for you guys to understand. If you put a price on a page like this, it will potentially lower conversion rates. But because this is above the fold, it does make it better because they can opt in before they even have the opportunity to scroll and see. Ideally for me, if I'm trying to get as many people to give me the contact information as possible, I'm not necessarily listing prices here because I just want to get them to express interest and then allow me to reach out. There are a lot of people that if they see a price will self-disqualify, even if they were potentially an appropriate or good fit, just because they don't have the context of having a conversation or building a relationship with you yet. But the positives like this above the fold section, it's kind of the best one we've seen so far, with just clarity on what's happening and how I can get more information right away. And then as the sections go through, a lot of the elements we talked about, right? Discussing the program, having testimonials, and then clear call to action. The potential with the join me, I would potentially change that button call to action to speak to the benefit for them, because join me is just very vague. Like, what exactly am I joining when I put in my email list, or when I put my email? I'm assuming it's just going to be an email list. Will you mark it to me? Where I want a more compelling call to action there. But yeah, definitely some good stuff already happening. There's just some small tweaks. The headline speaking more to the outcome. So instead of talking about the vehicle of a diverse approach to golf coaching, I might include that, but I want it to be included into speaking to the outcome that the golfer ultimately desires out of potentially working with Lou. And then sub headline, same thing. It would just speak to, instead of vague overall game development, I would say more specifically, what can they expect to happen? And if we can add a time duration or numbers, that will help conversion rates on a page like this as well. But overall, pretty solid. All right. I think that's all the ones we had today.
Awesome. Can you hear me, Dan? Thanks for breaking those down. And thank you to all who submitted those. Hopefully you got some feedback or some information to take back as you continue to develop those.
Yeah, and I feel a little bit bad, but most of them, it's just their websites and not landing pages. So that's the biggest advice I could give, is just set up a dedicated landing page for your business and to send traffic to. And then if anybody does take information away from the session, they go try to build out a landing page. If they want feedback then on that landing page, I'm happy, like, send it in. Anthony and Leslie can get that over to me. I will take a look. I'll shoot a Loom video recording and say, hey, like, this is what I would change in this landing page now that you've built it.
Yeah, that's great, because a lot of the conversations we're having, Dan, with these pros who we're building landing pages for, we have this discovery. Hey, what's your business goals? What are you trying to target here? So giving your feedback to take it back and obviously start to iterate on those things, which I'm sure we will, is super helpful for all of us. So appreciate it. So we're going to jump into the QA session. We have a couple more minutes. There's a couple that's come through the chat. How can an individual do a quality landing page in MailChimp, which are generic?
Yeah, MailChimp is not the best from a landing page builder standpoint. There's kind of some limitations around what you're able to do there. The biggest things, though, when we're thinking about a landing page, even if it's a basic generic landing page software like a MailChimp is, the thing that will matter the most is the headline and subheadline. So what is written there will matter more than if the layout is relatively generic or it doesn't look all that pretty. I know landing pages in the internet marketing space that are the ugliest things you've ever seen, but that convert really, really well because that doesn't really matter so much. The compelling headline is, like I said, it's like 80% of the work. So even if you're using a generic landing page builder, if you put most of your time, energy, and effort into headline, subheadline, and call to action button, they can still convert.
Second question, what change would you recommend starting with if you're going to A/B test your pages?
Basically, headlines are, yeah, that's pretty much the thing that you're testing most of the time. You can get into the weeds with colors and shapes and fonts and all that stuff, but what matters the most is just if you're going to test anything, test a different headline and see which converts better. That is the biggest bang for your buck. Most everybody's not going to get into the level of detail that like a full-time, $10 million, $20 million online internet marketing business would get into. So I would suggest just split testing headlines. That's the big thing. And then secondary, if you find a headline that converts pretty well, you could test the call to action button or the thing that you're giving away. The actual, like, the offer really matters. So it has to be something that your audience perceives as really valuable and worth opting in for. So you could test that as well. It's like, but the headline really is a function of like what the offer is, what you're giving away. So those two things are the biggest things.
Offer being whether it's a free swing analysis or a free consultation or whatever those call to actions are.
Yeah. So how you frame that as valuable for the prospect is really important. Again, the first thing they're asking is what's in it for me. So if you can speak to that very clearly, that's important.
Okay. So a lot of our pros are contacting existing contacts or past customers or even newly acquired leads through this effort. So what should they do if they're worried about the quality of the lead since they're in different stages?
Yeah, the best way to up the quality in a landing page is to add friction through the questions, qualification questions in the form that they would fill out. So there's two things. The one is like, how is that traffic coming to the page? So that will frame that will kind of frame the relationship from the start. Then the second thing is like, what is the offer on the page? And then are we calling out a very specific person with that offer and speaking to their biggest pain point? Then we can add qualification questions in the survey or the contact form to start to get more information and have a higher quality lead. Now, anytime you add these different things in, like I said, it will lower conversion rates. At the end of the day, the reality is in any business, you're going to get unqualified leads. So it's tough because like when you go online, I think there's this expectation that when I'm in person, people that walk into the facility or the club, they already are basically pre-sold on getting lessons from a professional. It's just whether or not they're going to choose to do that with you or for how long because of the price point of the lessons that you offer. So they're very much pre-sold on the idea once they walk in the door. So the quality of the lead in person seems very, very high as compared to online because you are sifting through hundreds, if not potentially thousands of opportunities there that might come through. So I wouldn't compare that to in person. I would compare the lead quality to other online businesses when it comes to lead quality and understand that like the vast majority of leads that you get won't be qualified to buy from you right now. But that doesn't mean that they are not good leads to have on a list that you can regularly contact, assuming they're like, we're speaking to the right person, right? This could be a person that just needs to sit on your email list and consume your content for 6 months, and then they spend thousands of dollars with you. So the quality is sometimes hard to gauge based on just this initial contact.
Great work. Last question. So if the goal is revenue growth, we've heard that like giving away free swings analysis makes it a little bit harder to get that student to convert or to buy that package. Have you heard that, or how would you kind of navigate giving away too many free swing analyses essentially?
Yeah, it's kind of similar to what I was just saying with the quality of the lead. It's not that free can't convert into high paying quality client. It's just that it's usually a lower percentage in the time window that we're like tracking the data. So they all work. Free swing analysis, free lesson will work as a lead generation opportunity and a client getting action in your business. Now, when you do free, you will have a higher percentage of people that opt in for something like that don't end up paying you. And so that feels like it's potentially lower quality or not necessarily worth it. At the end of the day, what you have to look at is the numbers. So I'll just use an example to kind of illustrate it. So free is valuable if the amount of volume we get on the front end for people opting in outweighs the drop off in quality and purchases. So as an example, if free allowed us to get 10 analysis done and submitted, and then 7 of those actually responded, 3 of them actually participated in jumping on a call with us to review it, and then 1 became a client. Cool, we closed 1 out of 10. That may feel like it's not that great and we're wasting a lot of time. But what we would have to understand on metrics is like if we did a paid version of that analysis, maybe it was a discounted first session of some kind, if that only allowed us to have 1 person purchase and that 1 person did not convert, which one was better? In that scenario, the free would have been better. It just would have felt like more work in the initial.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really just knowing the numbers. At first, I usually recommend free because most coaches don't have enough traffic to get enough purchases of something that is for sale to cold traffic or like not as hot traffic. And so that's the way to maximize flow initially. Then if you're having too many of those and not enough quality, you could look to do a paid initial experience with you by just having, let's say it's like a $49, initial lesson or free or $49 swing analysis. But you have to know the numbers, because if you put a price on it and then you start getting nobody to do it, then you have nothing coming through. You have no opportunities to then sign somebody into a longer term coaching package.
That's great. Yeah, a lot of folks, when we talk to them, they're deciding, do I do the free analysis? Do I have a discounted first video analysis? I think all of that really plays up in regards to the quality of the lead, and then obviously what's your goals in regards to having a long-term relationship with that student. So, well, hey, this was awesome, Dan. Again, I appreciate you carving time out of your busy schedule. I'd like to thank everyone who joined us today. Be sure to look out for our next invitation, which will have Dan again here first, I think Monday of May here. So be on the lookout for that. Please join us. And for any of you guys who have any questions in regards to landing pages, what we're actively doing for our pros and how we're tying that into the V1 software to grow online revenue, please reach out to me and we'll continue the conversation. Before I leave, Dan, any parting words you want to leave with?
No, yeah. If you would, same thing for me too. If you have any questions about landing pages, you want me to take a look at a landing page, you can hit me up on Instagram. Daniel E. Heaney is my username. Shoot me a message, shoot me a landing page. I'm happy to take a look. Reach out through V1, submit a landing page to them. I'm happy to take a look at that as well. Any questions that you have, I'm always available for anybody.
Great. Well, thanks again, Dan. Have a rest of your week.
You too.